Per Scholas is a national organization advancing economic mobility through rigorous training, professional development, and robust employer connections. Now, the organization prepares individuals traditionally underrepresented in technology for high-growth careers in the industry. A recent report published by the Center for an Urban Future and Per Scholas revealed nearly 1 in 5 of all new job postings at NYC during COVID have been for technology occupations. Joining us to provide their point of view on the matter, I am joined by the Executive Vice President of Diversity and Operational Excellence at Per Scholas, Ken Walker. And Ken, good to have you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Good to have you. And as we're talking, I want to talk a little bit about the digital divide. Because when we really think about what's going on right now, there was a digital divide. COVID has further exacerbated the digital divide because Per Scholas is right there in the middle trying to bridge the gap.
Yeah. So interesting, Daren. When we started 25 years ago, our focus was primarily on the digital divide. And what we did in the early days, provide computers to folks within the community. We were in middle schools within the Bronx. We were at senior centers, and we provided technology as well as digital literacy training. And we successfully handed out and sold tons of computers to the community. And so in 2012, when we sort of pivoted from that focus, it was incredibly interesting to us to continue to hear that this digital divide still exists. You know, when we divested from that focus, we were definitely feeling we're on our way. The Department of Education was providing computers for folks in schools, and we were thinking we beat this. But the pandemic has revealed to us in stark ways that the digital divide is real. Broadband access is not shared across all of our households. And so we've had to make sure that the learners and students who come to us, they have the equipment that they need. So if they don't have a computer or if they don't have broadband, we've put together relationships with organizations where we can provide that to make sure at least the folks that we serve have the equipment and the broadband that they need.
Right. We're seeing tech jobs on the rise and an increasing number of people in demand for tech jobs. And when we talk about where we are coming out of COVID, this whole virtual has really led us to a place where tech was hot before. Tech is hot now. Give us a little bit about the work that you're doing in preparing people for this move.
Yeah, so tech is hot. So thank you for saying that. And so for me, I started at IBM many years ago within the tech industry. And I am so pleased to be at a nonprofit that decided that tech was going to be the lane in which we play in. And tech is one of those sectors where, regardless of where you come from, regardless of where you live, you can learn tech, right? And you can start and use the support, IT support, networking, and Black and brown folks, they have talent to go into cybersecurity and cloud computing. And so we have a range of offerings within the tech sector. And again, it's one of those industries where you can start off in an area that is not terribly sophisticated, but you can move through a journey, learning new skills and definitely getting a thriving raise.
Yeah, and we know, particularly in communities of color, they are underrepresented in the tech world. Talk to me about when you have these conversations and you talk about tech to young people and even to adults, right?
Yes.
What are some of the things that you're hearing from them? Is there a general interest in wanting to do it? Is there this fear and apprehension? Because Honestly, you talk to some people, they have a hard time navigating their cell phone, much less anything else, right? So what are you hearing from the people that you're coming in contact with?
So most of the folks that we come in contact with, first of all, they're excited about the tech industry, and many of them, they're the member of the family that everybody sort of goes to, and they tinker around with televisions, computers, and they have that passion for sort of getting into technology. They have a curiosity about what is possible within the sector. So most of the folks who come through our doors, they're incredibly excited. Um, Women within tech, sometimes there's a little trepidation, right? Because there are not a ton of women in the tech industry, and we're trying to work on that as an organization. But folks are excited. One thing that we do really, really well is we have our new students and learners talk to alumni, folks who've been successful within the sector, because representation matters, right? And if I'm a Black and brown person coming into, this rigorous training at Per Scholas, and I have a chance to see people who look like me, who can share stories about how successful that they've been in these major Fortune, 5,000 organizations, that gives me a vision for my future that excites me.
Yeah. And so when you talk about having a vision for the future, you really try to work with students to be able to have that vision, to
Yes.
say, listen, you know what, this is the way to go. So for somebody who may not be so familiar, give us a walkthrough. If I walk through the door and I say, listen, this is, I think about this is something I want to do, something I want to embark on. What can I expect coming through your doors?
Right. So right now, you're probably not going to come through the doors. You're probably going
Right.
to go online. You're going to go online, and you're going to learn about our remote offerings. Right. So when the pandemic first hit, we had to pivot really quickly to online training, and we've been really, really successful, Daren. And so Per Scholas, 85% of our students and learners, they graduate, and up to 80% of them, we find jobs. So if you're walking through the door, you're feeling pretty confident that you're working with an organization that's really focused on helping you get through the program. We tell folks up front, it's rigorous, but we do provide the supports through the 12 or 15-week program that will enable you to be successful. So you have options, right? People like options. If you are a novice, we're going to tell you, hey, you should start with IT support. You can't jump to cybersecurity um, in your first course, but you can, if you're curious enough, you have that grit, you have that perseverance, that you can progress to software engineering or cybersecurity or cloud computing. So because the tech industry is so incredibly fast paced and growing, we excite our learners. We tell them, hey, you have chosen an excellent place for your career journey, and we are so incredibly happy to support you in your efforts.
Yeah. What are some of the most in-demand jobs that we're hearing about today?
Yeah, so our basic course is IT support. IT support still is an area, a lot of companies still need end user support kinds of jobs and careers. Um, and I think specifically because of the fact that we're in a remote environment, that is still a plentiful sort of area for our learners and students. So for instance, Daren, you're at home, you may have something go wrong with your computer. I mean, how cool would it be for your IT support team to call you, and you probably have experienced this already, to help you through whatever technical problems that you're having. So that's a start. But cloud computing, Amazon Web Services, software engineering, all incredibly popular, all incredibly hot. Um, we have a high demand for all of these opportunities across our 17 campuses nationwide at Per Scholas. So, the opportunities are plentiful.
Yeah. And you do a tremendous amount of partnerships. I mean, I know you have a partnership that deals with, families.
Yeah.
And then also that partnership with employers. Talk about that relationship with employers.
Yeah. So we determined many, many years ago, Daren, that having great relationships with employers is key. And it is my personal belief that it's all about relationships. Everything is about relationships. And for me, I believe actually the 21st century superpower is having really good relationships and creating ecosystems. And so we have historically partnered with large organizations, medium-sized, small organizations, to have them understand, the journey of the students and learners that we have at our organization. We allow them to participate, right? So they may volunteer, they may help with resume writing, they may help to help with interviews prior to getting specifically engaged with us, and then we have business solutions reps who are a part of our core team who help to match opportunities that employer partners have with the learners that are going through our program. So successful history with employers, we have great relationships. And again, I feel we were really smart to
Right.
partner with employer partners early on.
Yeah, I think, well, can you hit the nail on the head? I think that with the job market, the way that being it is, and the job market being so scarce, right? Everybody's looking for a job. But when you have that contact or if you have that relationship, it makes life just a little bit easier. And so if those people come through your program, I'm pretty sure that it becomes a winning selling point to tell people, listen, we have employers that we're connected to, and we can make the connection, for you and with you.
Yeah, and with you. And I'm glad you said with you, Daren, because the Black and Brown learners and students who come through our doors, I mean, they are intimately involved in propelling their career forward. So it's not a handout. One, they're going through this rigorous training. Yes, we're there to support, but it's all them. And so they can share stories of the many books and all the content that they have to get through the training. But they are intimately involved in sort of working with our business solutions folks to get that job. So yes, we're there to assist, but it's all about them. And that to me is the incredible thing about what we do, and specifically in the tech industry. Um, Diversity is what many of these organizations are looking for. And, we have 85% of the folks who come through our doors who are diverse. And so, in complement to what we do at Per Scholas, we have a Diverse by Design initiative that we kicked off 5 years ago, where we are specifically focused on getting Black and Brown talent within the tech industry. And so talent is talent. And these businesses are looking to fill skills gap. And we are incredibly proud at Per Scholas that we have a solution. We have talented folks ready to secure many of those jobs that are now open.
Yeah, you're a nationwide organization doing great things locally right here. And we know right there in the Bronx that, a lot of work is being done to really equip people for that next level. As we're here in the summer and we're trying to navigate through this, talk to us about what people can expect. And they don't necessarily have to come to the doors, but so they can come and open up their computer.
Yeah. So Darren, so before we came on, um, what I shared with you is this week. So I'm in the Bronx. So I'm on at our Bronx campus, and this is the first week we have students on site. And so we are following, all the protocol necessary to keep them safe, because it is incredibly important that Black and brown folks, right, they should feel safe when they come in the environment. And so we are slowly starting our migration back to our national campuses, but making sure that we're looking at focus groups and we're asking folks about their comfort level. Because the one thing that we want to just make sure that we get right is that when these learners come on our campus site, that they feel as though, one, we care about them, two, they're safe,
Mhm.
and we followed all the protocols, and then obviously working with us to get to that end game, which is a job, because that is the ultimate North Star, to get them a job with a thriving wage at Per Scholas.
Yeah, that feeling about getting them a job. Talk to me about that. What does it feel like? And seeing them come through your program, and then
Yeah,
have these alumni that are actually doing big things.
yeah. So one of the great experiences I have at Per Scholas, one is our graduation, right? So when a student, a learner has gone through 15 weeks of training, and in the old days, before the pandemic, family members would come in, their support system, their community to share in their success, is awesome. It is also very, very, very much the case that a percentage of those students at that 15th week have already found a job. So during our graduation, we're already celebrating a subset of that class that just graduated with a job. Again, I'm sitting in the audience as a student who just went through, and I see my teammate, my colleague, just secure a job at a leading organization. How great is that, right? How
Can't be
psyched
that,
are
right?
you, right, sitting in the class and saying, "Hey, this guy, this young woman was able to do it. I'm going to be able to do it too." And then having our alumni come back in is absolutely awesome. So someone who's been at an organization for 2 years to come and speak to our learners and sort of share their early experiences on the job, I think is incredibly important, because getting the job is step one, maybe step two, but staying in the job, working with employer partners on retention. What kind of supports are you, employer A or B, providing for the learners that we have entrusted you with, to keep them there? How are you getting them sort of um, into the culture of the organization, right? Sometimes
Right.
this is a shock for Black and brown folks coming into, these big corporate organizations. And so we try to get you prepared at Per Scholas, but then we really depend on employer partners to make sure in that first year or two that they're putting some supports in place to keep our talent there.
Yeah. Kim Walker, we got to leave it there, but I want to thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for helping to bridge that gap at Per
Yes.
Scholas. It's much needed, and definitely we'll continue to keep our audience updated as to the things that you're doing and the great work you're doing. Thanks much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All righty.
All
Got
right.
to take a quick break. We'll be back with more on the social justice forums. We continue the conversation right after these breaks.